What is going on, everybody? As always, we are back with another episode, our fourth one, I think it is. And so we are excited about that. Stay tuned. We are a couple minutes early, so stay tuned and watch because we are getting
Can y'all hear Josiah? Well, can y'all hear me? Okay.
and we are about to get started in 2 minutes, more like a minute, but we are getting ready to get started. And so, again, we are excited, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. We will be getting ready shortly. Welcome everybody back to another episode of You Already Know What It Is. It is the Johnson 5 talk show, guys. We are excited for another episode, our fourth episode, another edition. We just had edition, a Mother's Day edition, and we are moving forward and we are so happy. Shout out to Grandpa Kibasa. Love you, Grandpa. Thank you so much for tuning in. We got to give you some kudos and some props. Miss Maggie is on here. Thank you so much, Miss Maggie, for watching. I do want to say if my Wi-Fi does go in and out, I do want to apologize in advance for that. I am somewhere else currently, and so I do want to apologize in advance if my Wi-Fi goes up. It sometimes acts weird, which is totally fine. Solomon, tell us just give us a little bit. You wasn't here for one of our podcasts, but we were happy to get you for the Mother's Day edition. But why don't you open us up, tell us something good that happened to you?
Your Wi-Fi is terrible, my brother. But can you guys hear me? Thumbs up. Alrighty. God is good all the time and all the time. Come on, Bishop. God is good. Man, this has been up and down, up and down, up and down, up and down. But today I got clarity on some things from the Lord on my personal walk, and He opened a lot of doors for me. And I don't talk about these things because in my eye, this is what the Lord done. But I'm gonna give my testimony and I'm gonna tell you what He done. It was hard for me financially during, my school year, whatever the case may be. But thank God that God has opened 2 jobs for me. One job in which I was only looking to get paid $14, $15, $17. $17, guys. Every 2 weeks, $17. I'm working 8 hours. You do the math. That's close to $1,000 every 2 weeks that God has just blessed me with. On top of that, I'm also working at Wawa that gave me the letter and said they also pay me $15. And that's every week. On top of that, I received the email from Cookstown that I made, what you call that, Sam?
Dean's list.
I made the Dean's list. And I think they wrote an article about me, which is crazy. So God has been doing Him, to say the least. And, I don't talk about these things, but thanks be unto God, which causes us to triumph. So, amen.
Amen to that, brother. Amen to that. Joe, talk to us. Say something to us.
Hello?
That's all you got to say?
Yes.
All right. Well, we thank you for saying whatever you just said. Again, guys, I do apologize if my Wi-Fi goes in and out. Pray for us. I'm somewhere else. And so pray that my Wi-Fi stabilizes and it continues on, because we're trying to make this professional as possible. But that is okay. Again, a couple of announcements. This is our 4th episode of the Johnson 5 talk show. And so we are excited about that. This will be hopefully our last day on Zoom, because we are trying to be in person. Yes, that's right. We are trying to be in person. So our next episode will be in person, and we are so happy and excited for that. Of course, Father's Day is coming up Sunday, June 18th. And so be on the lookout for that, because we have some stuff just like we did Mother's Day sale. We will be doing a Johnson 5 Father's Day sale, and our father will be our special guest. So stay tuned for that. And of course, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Of course, that is the Johnson 5 Talk Show. Make sure you subscribe and like every video and comment on every video. Go ahead for more information. Go ahead and follow us on Facebook at the Johnson 5 Talk Show, or on Instagram at Johnson5_talk.show. Zay, you got anything to add?
Man, I'm just glad to be here. As y'all know, as he said, this is our 4th episode. Next episode will be in person, so make sure y'all stay tuned. Make sure y'all like and subscribe with notifications on, so you would know when we do our next podcast, and you would see how different it is for us being in person and a different experience.
Yes, and so thank you for that, Zay. I have 2 segments. Again, I want to apologize if my internet is unstable. It's already telling me that my internet is unstable right now. Again, I'm somewhere else, and so I do want to apologize for that in advance. But y'all pray for me.
A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much. In any case, moving forward. And so we have two segments. The first segment is a catch-up. What has been going on in our lives? We haven't been doing this podcast for a while because we've been a little busy, but there has been some exciting news that we have to share with you guys on today. And so whoever wants to start, go ahead and start. Share some exciting news, what God what God has been doing in your life, all the new stuff that you are involved in. Solomon shared a little bit, and he'll continue to share. So whoever wants the floor, go ahead.
So I went on prom. I feel as though, you know me, I was the best looking there. I also am about to graduate. God has put me through a very difficult time through high school. High school is a thing I would say that is very difficult. But I made it and I'm about to graduate. I'm also about to enlist in the Air Force, which God has provided me with. I did have celiac disease and I still do have celiac disease, which is you are allergic to gluten, which prevented me from going into the Air Force. But God has opened doors and made a way for me to achieve my dreams, achieve my goals, and still enlist in the Air Force, which has been what I wanted to do since I was 6 years old. So thank God for that.
Amen. That's such a blessing, and we thank God for what He's doing. Anyone else? Joe, talk to us. What good things has been happening in your life? Maybe that's TikTok. Maybe that's 2K.
I'm going to 6th grade.
All right. Joe is going to 6th grade, moving on and moving in different levels and directions. Thank God for that. Sa, talk to us.
Well, as I said, God opened doors for me to work. And not only that, but God opened doors for the dean's list and things of that nature.
All right. And Big Bro, sorry guys, he is at an event, I believe he said, and so he can't turn his camera on, which is okay, but he can still speak to us, and we thank him for being here on today. So if you can, Big Bro, talk to us.
Yes, can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I'm gonna turn my camera on in a quick second, but church kind of ran late. The power of God really moved in service, so that's why my camera is not on, but it'll be on in a few seconds. But some things, I think we testified, that my Isaiah borrowed my old car, and got to an accident. So I have a brand new car. It's been about maybe a month or so now. And God has really blessed. And there are things that I'm praying for that I'm waiting on God to do. So look forward to the testimonies to come, because there are definitely testimonies to come that I'm waiting for God to do.
All right. Amen to that. Again, I do have to apologize yet again for my Wi-Fi. Sorry, guys. I am trying to be professional as possible, but I'm not in my normal area. But that is okay. We are going to continue to move forward and do what we can do and do it our best way possible. For me, I am getting ready to judge one of the biggest and largest entrepreneurship competitions in the world. It's called Nifty, and I will be going to New York City on Saturday. My father will be joining me. Josiah will be joining me, my little brother. And we're going to New York, and I'm excited for that. I'm pretty excited to be a judge. If you ever watch Shark Tank, that is like the dream right there, to be able to invest in people, companies, and be able to tell what you think. And so that's what I'll be doing. And so I'm have to put my Shark Tank hat on and do what I do best and give some advice to the people. And I may be the youngest judge on the panel, which is even more exciting news. And it's I'm able to put that on my resume. So I am definitely excited about that. I have been involved in a lot of business companies, and so God has been continuing to bless me in entrepreneurship world. I think that is it. Everyone went, and so we are going to move forward into our second segment. And because my Wi-Fi is acting up, I did have a video, but we're not going to play the video at this time. Our second segment for today is called Story Time. And story time is very exciting because each of us are going to share a story of something that we went through, a time in our life that was difficult, something that we had to overcome, something that we had to conquer. And then we're going to talk about the lessons that we learned throughout the thing that we had to overcome. And so again, I'm going to leave the floor open for anyone to start it off. Again, this is story time and everybody will share a story. Yes, Joe, that means you. So get a story ready, Joe. Get something in your head of a time where you had a difficult time and you got through it and a lesson you learned a lesson that you learned by it. So I'm gonna leave the floor open for whoever would like to go first.
Okay, I would start. The most recent one I would say would have to be high school. High school for me, I am a different person out of the family. In school, I have a mentor. His name is Mr. Thomas, Mr. T, who Samuel Solomon know, and he calls me the rebel, the rebel child. And he calls me that because let me track back a little bit. Samuel Solomon went to Roxborough High School, where I'm graduating from, and they set a standard in that school. Being twins and growing up in that school, they set a standard in that school. And me being myself, I did not, quote unquote, to the teachers, live up to that standard, which was a little bit difficult throughout high school. Teachers would compare and contrast, blah, blah, blah. And it was difficult. It would mess up I don't know how to explain it. It would mess up your thought process of like going through high school. Oh, do I want to overachieve? Do I want to be myself? Do I want to step in their shoes? And that was, I would say, a little bit difficult part throughout high school, dealing with teachers and dealing with just peers and everything, and being compared to somebody. And I feel as though a lesson behind that is not everybody is the same, but goals that set behind you can be set and can be met. I say that because even though I did not reach the same goals as my brothers in the same way, I still to this day graduate high school as a good student, as a student who set standards, as a student who had discipline, as a student who peers looked up to, And I feel as though that's a real important part throughout life, is being your own person, but being able to step into somebody else's shoes and live the life that they did.
I think that's powerful, Jose, and that's important because you're definitely 100% right. Is that me and Solomon, we were great students, and we took over Roxborough. Roxborough should be in our last names. It should be Samuel Johnson Roxborough, then Solomon Johnson Roxborough, because we were so famous in Roxborough. But being different from us, I know it was hard and difficult because you often had teachers like, hey, you're not nothing like Sam and Solomon. And I know that was very difficult. And so, Zay, I want to put you on the spot real quick. And so what do you tell that person who was in your shoes, right, and who has older brothers and who are going through what you're going through? What piece of advice would you give that person? Because you went through it and you've seen what it did to you and you've seen how you had to overcome it. So what advice would you give to that person?
I would say simply just be yourself. Simply keep doing what you're doing and just rolling with the punches. If you want to be somebody you're not, that's how you end up somebody you're not. I would say don't try to cover something. Don't try to act like somebody. Just be yourself. Do whatever situation you're in the way you handle it, because the way you handle it is the only way you will be able to handle it. Another example I would use is a lot of people say somebody came up to me and asked for help for therapy advice. Some people have a habit of saying, oh, well, you can get through it. It's just a little bit, not a lot of people understand the mental capacity of different people. Things I can handle, Josiah may not be able to handle. And I feel as though that is a very real important part to speak about also, because everybody has a different way of handling things. So just be yourself, always handle things the way you handle it. And yeah, that's about it.
I do have a question for Isaiah real quick. In this experience, was there a time where you felt pressure to be like us and you did be just like us? Was there a time at Roxborough where you was like, man, let me try and put on the and I wouldn't call it this, but quote unquote show, or do the things that Solomon and Sam did. Let me do everything that Solomon and Sam did. Let me be that student who dressed, a student ambassadors. Let me be a part of the student ambassadors. Let me be, cool with my principal and stuff like that. Was there ever a time where you was like, let me just fill in those shoes for Sam and Solomon?
I would say yes in an instance, but no. The only thing throughout high school that I wanted to take under was March Madness. And I will explain what March Madness is for people who don't know it. March Madness was something they created in the school where it was a tournament just like college March Madness. And it was a basketball tournament between students and staff. And that was really the only thing I wanted to bring down. Everything else, I feel as though I created my own personality, which I loved. But the one downside too was teachers hated it. I got so much backlash, and I still receive backlash to this day of how I'm nothing like Samuel Solomon, or I'm a bad student. The way I dress is different. You see my brother Samuel over here looking up in suits and everything, and you see me in a casual shirt. That's how I am. We are two different people, but the standard that is set is different. And that's really it.
Did you last question. Did you ever sit these people down, like sit your teachers down, or tell them that listen, I'm different. I'm not like Sam and Solomon. Or did you take the backlash? Did you say, you know what, you can have your own opinion of how you feel about me, or what you think about me and how it's wrong, but this is who I am?
It was a little mixture of both. If you know me, I'm real nonchalant. You can tell me I'm ugly and I'm gonna put a thumbs up, right? So yeah, it was kind of both. Some teachers would say, oh, you're nothing like your brothers, blah, blah. And I would just say, okay. Other teachers, I would be like, I'm not. If you look at me, you look at them, we don't look the same, we don't act the same, we have two different personalities. We have the same last name, but we're not the same people. And I've said that to many different teachers. But other teachers is just like, sometimes you just have to let it slide, because in the end of the day, I know I'm my own person. Like I said, I'm a real nonchalant person. If you know me, I'm not going to care what you say about me or what you think about me if I know what I am. So, yeah.
Any other questions for Zay that you may have? Joe, you got any questions for Zay? Big bro, you got any questions for Zay? All right, well, Zay, that is a great point. I appreciate your story time, and thank you for sharing your story. Who's next? Somebody just share your story.
Josiah.
All right, Joe, you're up.
I didn't really go through nothing yet.
Just talk about basketball, how, your academics and how, they stopped the team because of the other academic students that didn't get those academics up, have A's and B's, and how it affected you. Did it affect you, Joe? When
No.
they ended the season because students wasn't getting their A's and B's, they was not necessarily failing, but getting C's. Did that affect you?
A little bit.
Okay, so talk about your story, how that affected you.
It affected me because I couldn't play.
Okay, so tell us how it made you feel. How did it make you feel? Tell us more about that.
Mad.
First, all right, so first start from the beginning. Why was the season canceled?
Because people wasn't on positive.
Okay, and what does positive mean?
It means you did all your work. And you have nothing missing.
Okay, so people did positive. Was these people your friends?
Yeah.
Okay, and how did that make you feel? That your friends wasn't getting positives?
But it wasn't really getting positive because most of them was missing a 100 book challenge. Like that's one of the things I'm missing. Nah. Which is reading.
Oh, reading comprehension skills. We getting somewhere, Sam. That's too funny. But talk about, okay, so the season ended because people wasn't on positive. What is the 300 week challenge? What is that?
100.
100. I'm sorry, 100.
You gotta read for 15 minutes, and that's basically one book read. So an hour is 4 books, and but
See
you
that?
have to have at least 700 steps, and that's a lot, man.
You just don't want to read.
That's what it is.
That's why you do the things now. Okay, so because of that, the season got canceled. How many games was there left prior to that?
4.
4 games left. Okay. So now, when did you hear that the season was canceled? Who told you? Did your coach tell you? Did your teacher? Did the principal?
Coach.
Okay. So what was the setting like? When did he tell you? Was it at practice? Did he go to the actual classroom? What happened?
Oh yeah, at practice.
Okay. So tell us what happened at practice. Did he tell you guys in the beginning or the end? Did he sit you guys down? Did he tell?
Yeah, like once everyone got there, he told us.
Oh, so he said, "Can I have your attention, please?
Yes.
Our season is canceled."
He didn't get straight to
That's
the
what he
point
did?
like that. He didn't get straight to the point like that, but yes.
Okay, so tell us what was said prior to him saying the season is canceled.
I forget.
I'm telling you, Joe. You okay? So you forget what he said. Okay, fine. You got this is story time. You got to take the audience through a whole story. A story is set from the beginning. It has a middle, and then it has an ending. All right. So now we're in the middle. The season is canceled. Coach told you season is canceled. We're about to get to the end. Tell us how you felt when you heard those words.
I felt mad.
Okay,
Cause I couldn't
so
play.
man,
Huh? Because I
why?
couldn't.
Huh?
I said because I couldn't play.
Okay. Did you feel anything else? I'm sorry. Did you feel anything else?
No.
Did you feel that at your teammates?
No.
No. So it was just mad.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the last question for you, and I'm gonna let you go because clearly you don't want to talk. The last question I got for you, Joe, and then anybody else can ask you a question, is what does basketball mean to you? You say you love basketball. You say you was mad because the basketball schedule got canceled for you guys. The games got canceled. what does basketball mean to you? That you was mad that the basketball season got canceled. It has to mean something to you, and tell your audience why it means. First of all, tell us how much it means to you and why it means so much to you.
It means a lot because it's fun and stuff. And it's the only it's the only way I get outside, man. The only reason I get outside.
Well, thank you for your time, Joe. Thank you, guys. This man, I'm sick of it.
Well, we thank you for that interview, Si. And Joe, you're not finished because I have a question for you. You said that you talked about, so talk to us a little bit about basketball, why you love basketball so much.
'Cause
Who,
it's
first off, who got you into basketball? Who's your favorite player? And why do you love basketball?
You inside got me into it. Of course. My favorite mom got me into it. My favorite player is obviously Kobe Bryant. Still. And I like it because it's fun.
Okay, and so what position do you play?
Shooting guard.
Point guard and shooting guard, or just shooting guard?
Just shooting guard.
Okay, Joe, so you've had opponents that was taller than you, correct?
Uh-huh.
So how do you deal with that? When you see other people taller, do you get afraid?
No.
Tell us the truth, Joe. We being
No.
transparent. You don't get afraid, you don't get nervous.
I mean, with y'all, yes, because y'all gonna block it. Anytime
No, not with us. I'm talking about when you play for your school and you see other guys that are taller than you. You don't get afraid, you don't get nervous to play them?
I don't get scared, man, because one of my games shot 4 threes in a row. So
And you don't get nervous at all.
no.
Okay. Do you wish you was taller?
Yes.
Why?
Get rebounds.
Well, Solomon is a testament to where you don't need height to get rebounds. I mean, just if you guys don't know, you just watch Solomon on the basketball court, and he's 5'8", and he's getting rebounds over 7'1" guys. I think that's all my questions there. You got any questions for Joe? Big bro, got any questions for Joe? All right, Joe. Well, we thank you for participating. And thank you for that good story. All right, someone else. Well, since Sa called on Joe, we call it on Sa.
All right. So, I continue to talk about this over and again. And I think this was actually a test to my faith as well as other things. Because I believe back in, I say 2020 to 2021 and 2022 or summer 2022, I was blessed, and I still am blessed, but I was blessed in the financial part. I would get money every week, and you know how that went. I made sure I took care of my family. Do you remember that, Sam? Took care of you, man. Took care of everybody. Because that's what I do, and I was blessed. And then in the fall of 2022 and in the spring of 2023, I go to Kutztown University. Hoorah, Golden Bears! Woo! But it was tough. It was a season that shifted just like that. When I say shifted, I mean it shifted just like that. Where I was, helping my family out and, doing things that I wanted to do when it came on the financial parts with money. Where now I'm asking for money. You remember that, Sam, don't you? Anthony, you remember? I know you do. Isaiah, I know you do, but I was always good for it. But I was asking for money.
not simply for food or any to take care of me, but simply because, oh, I needed books that I had to purchase, or, you know, my account is acting up, or whatever the case may be. And so now I'm asking for money, and I'm just like to the point where I'm like, God, I've been faithful in this and I've been faithful in that, you know, been faithful in paying my tithes, not much, but I've been faithful in paying my tithes. I've been reading your words, you know, what more can I do? What more can I do? And, you know, he just showed me that in order for you to have not just some faith, but all your faith in God, you have to go through things because, and everybody says this, we can, you know, seek after God, or, you know, we can be happy and go to church when we're on top of the world, when we have thousands and thousands of dollars, or when we're blessed, when everything for us we have. We're not in need of anything. But as soon as something goes wrong, as soon as, you know, we have no more money, as soon as we have no more food, as soon as you know, we get sick, you know, we tend to lose faith because of what? Because we was up top here. So now that we're in the bottom here in the trenches, we don't necessarily know how to go to God the right way, or we don't know how to understand that to everything, as Ecclesiastes chapter 3 says, verse 1, to everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heaven. So what we have to understand is that there are seasons, and I didn't understand that. And, you know, some of you may be just like me, where you just don't understand how you can go from here to here like that. And so I didn't understand it. But, you know, God revealed to me that, you know, you have to have faith and you have to trust me. You have to first understand that I will be able to make ways for you. And second, you also have to understand that I will make ways from you, but everything don't last always. Everything we do has a season. It's just like we have seasons when it comes to spring, summer, winter, fall. Those are seasons. Those seasons don't last the whole year, right? The summer is not the whole year. The winter is not the whole year, but there are seasons to which these summer, winter, spring, fall, there's seasons to which these seasons occur. And so what he showed me was that, number one, you have to put your faith in me. You have to know that I'm able to do it for you. Maybe at not your time, at not the time that you want it, the time that you desire it, but it's the time that I want it, that God says. And number two, you have to understand that seasons don't last always. And this is a season where I need you to seek after me. This is a season where I need to pour into you. You know, I've been doing all the pouring financially, but now I need you to seek me so that way I can continue to pour. So, you know, that was my season, or that was something that I had to learn. And it was an experience, because sometimes I questioned, you know, I went through a lot mentally, emotionally, physically, but, you know, God is a good God, and, you know, he opened doors at the right times. Such a great and powerful. Oh, go ahead. But such a great and powerful story. Go ahead, big bro.
I just had a question. Could it be, how do I word this? Like, could it be that it was partially your doing and how you handle money?
100%. 100%. I think 100% that it was partially my doing, and I think that was another part to it. You know, where God was also trying to reveal that, you know, every choice you make has a consequence, good or bad consequence. Every choice you make, there's something on the inside of every choice that you made. And, you know, I think he was also saying that too, that, you know, you have to live with the choices that you make. I'm a spender. I have a hard time saving money. And now it's not like a spender where, oh, I like to go shopping and stuff like that. It's not that. It's spending because it's spending. I'm gonna just leave it at that. I know
Fam knows. Anthony, I think you know. Isaiah, I think you know. Josiah, man, he's not there yet. But you guys know, and I'm gonna just leave it at that. But I 100% it was partially because I didn't know how to save, and I didn't know how to save.
I think, and well, first of all, I already knew the answer to that. I just wanted to ask a question. But one of the things that, as the oldest, I tried to teach them, and this is one of the things that you have to save money because you will not always be, you're not always going to have someone to depend on. They depend on me, or they can depend on each other or our parents to ask for money. But we also have lives. You can't always depend on people for money. And that's one of the things that, I try to teach them. And they can attest to this. I'll send them texts like, what are y'all spending your money on? That y'all are asking me constantly for money. And I think I say that because, growing up, when I first got my job, when I got my first job, from then on, I was independent. I didn't ask my parents for any money. Everything I bought, everything I owned, I bought and got with my own money. And I learned how to save so that when I come into situations, when I come into crisis, I can have a clutch that I can lean on, and I can use the money that I have, to do what I got to do without needing to ask anybody. And I'm not saying that asking for help is wrong, but it's also important, especially for us as men and whoever is watching, to be independent, because you have to learn how to provide for yourself, and then you will be able to provide for your family, your future wife, your future kids. So that's a very important lesson, even for this generation as a whole, that we have to learn how to manage our money, because that's important for us to be successful and to go far. We have to learn those things.
And I think that's also important too, to learn it, as Anthony said, not just to learn it, but learn it as early as you can, so that you won't be in, circumstances or situations where you have to ask for money. Learn it early, where when you get older and you have a decent job, you can say, okay, some of that is going, of course, to tithes, or some of that is going to savings. Okay, this is going to me, and the rest is going to the household, and the rest is going to the bills that I have to pay, and etc. So that when it is that you do have a family, you know how to provide for them. And if I didn't get taught that lesson, I 100% believe that I would have figured it out, but it would have been even more struggle, simply because I'm about to graduate from college in a year. So I'm about to be on my own. And if I didn't get it like that, I know once I graduate, I'm going to have a decent job. And I wouldn't know how to save, and I wouldn't know how to make sure that I have money to pay bills and etc. So, if you can learn it at an early age, so that way it won't haunt you when it is that you do become a young man and a man with a family.
Yes, sir. That is a great point, powerful, and we want to hit you with questions, but due to time, we're not. We do want to hit you with questions, but we still have two more stories to go, and we're gonna keep it fast. I know Big Bro loves to put icing on the cake. He loves to go last because his stories are powerful. He's just like my dad, where he puts icing on the cake. And so, Big Bro, would you like to go to last?
That's fine. I can go last.
Okay, yep. And so he will put icing on the cake, ladies and gentlemen. So you don't want to miss this story. As I always says, he is just like my father. They love putting icing on the cake, and they always come prepared for great stories. And so I'm going to share my story, but real quickly, I'm going to grab some of these comments if you don't mind. Mom said, now, if you guys have a question, please go ahead and ask, and we will try to get to it as quickly as possible. So Mom said, I have a question for Solomon, and I guess you answered it. She was like, Solomon, you may be in your dry season, but have you saved money? No. You said you didn't know how to save. You have to pay yourself first. Mom says, preach, son. Yes, firstborn. Everything he has, he earned, but learning discipline is important, which is very important. She says, Anthony is preaching. Our second mom is on the line, Carolyn McCrae. Thank you, second mom. Appreciate you for tuning in. She says, go far. I had to hear your people talking about saving for the future. She also says, glad to hear young men talk about money issues. And so we are excited for everyone for tuning in. Thank you guys so much for tuning in.
I just want to thank you for throwing me under the bus, Sam. Thank you.
Well, you know, I know you better than you know yourself.
Yeah, clearly.
Actually, Jesus does, and I'm not Jesus. In any case, that's another story for another time. In any case, so my story happened recently, not recently, but like a year or two ago. I have been given, me and Solomon was blessed to get a full ride scholarship academically to college where we don't have to pay for tuition. We don't have to, well, for my scholarship, I didn't have to pay for tuition. I didn't have to pay for my room and board. I didn't have to pay for books. I didn't have to pay for my meal. I didn't have to pay not a penny to go to college. And I was blessed with that. And God gave me that. But a year ago, I want to say, I lost my scholarship. And that was the biggest thing, guys. You have no idea. I always say it's easy to give people advice and say, oh, keep pushing, keep moving forward. But until you're in your storm, you don't know how difficult it is to actually endure it. And so that was my first storm, my first struggle I had to endure, losing a scholarship that I won. And then on top of that, not only was I disappointed in myself, but I was disappointed because I let my family down. And so I had to let my parents know. And let me tell you guys something. It is not easy to sit your mom and dad down and tell them news that you lost your scholarship. Okay. When I was sitting my parents down, my heart was beating. It was almost like I was at a basketball game and I had the last shot to win the game. It was just, I was so nervous. I never felt this nervous in my life. Never. And this was where I was just so nervous, not because I was afraid to tell them I lost the scholarship, but because I was disappointed to see their disappointed faces in me. When I told them I had the scholarship, they was happy and they was joyful and they smiling. They're like, we're proud of you. And then when I told them I lost the scholarship, I didn't want to face the disappointment in their faces and, see that they were disappointed in me. And so it was the biggest struggle I had to face. Oftentimes, and at this point, I was with my girlfriend, Jayla, and oftentimes I would go to her and I would be upset. Sometimes I would go to the bathroom and just cry because, I lost my scholarship. And then when I lost my scholarship, things kept piling on. What I mean by that is I could not register for my classes next semester. And so they put a pause on that. And so they put a pause on that. And then they said, look, man, if you don't pay $25,000, you're going to get kicked out of High Point University. That's when I hit my low. And I was like, what? I'm about to get kicked out. I received an opportunity of a lifetime. And because I made a mistake, I'm about to lose that opportunity that brought me to High Point in the first place. And it was so disappointing. And man, when I tell you, it was frustrating. So frustrating to go to classes and to know you're $25,000. So frustrating to try to act normal. So frustrating to be like, God, I need your help. And God, I need your guidance because I don't know where I'm going to be after this semester. But the crazy part is not this. I want to move back a little bit, pivot back a little bit. And I want to say a week or 2 weeks before I got the letter that I lost my scholarship, me and my friend was having Bible study and we was talking about God and we was talking about Job. And then I left and then I went to the library. And when I was on the library, we talked about Job and I was reading Job. I was actually reading Job and I was reading Job chapter 1. Then I went to Job chapter 2 and 3. And I was reading it. I was digging deep into it. And I told God, and I spoke to myself, and I spoke with confidence and clarity. And I told God, God, I want you to test me like you tested Job. Right? And I meant what I said. It wasn't me saying, oh, wow, this is interesting. No, I said, God, I want the kind of faith Job had when everything he lost, he was able not to complain. He did not curse God, but rather he fell on his knees and thanked God. And so I told God, I said, you know what, God, I want to face that same situation. And guess what? A week goes by and I lose my scholarship. And I'm crazy. I go back to my friend and I'm telling him, because we talk all the time, and I'm like, bro, I just lost my scholarship. I'm not sure if I'm going to be here at High Point University. They put a hold on my registration. I'm not sure where I'm going to go. They're getting ready to kick me out. I don't know where I'm going to go. And he reminded me and said, Sam, remember what you asked for. He said, remember what you asked for when you told God kind of faith that you wanted. And then he said, look around and look what's happening to you. And he said, now, what are you going to do about it? And so I went back to my dorm room, and it was a shock for me. And I was like, wow. Went to my dorm room, and I just prayed, and I said, God, you know what? I asked for this, and now I'm going to put in the faith that Job had. And so I had a point where the financial counselor came up to me. We had a meeting. After I prayed, we had a meeting. She said, you know what, I'm going to keep this short. I got 3 minutes, and then I got you, Anthony. Keep this short. I went to my financial aid counselor, and I said, what can I do? And she said, there's one thing that you can do. You can type in a letter, and you can type it into the people they have a board who hold your scholarship. And it's a board of I don't know how many people. And she said, you can do it. But the problem is, they don't give it all the time. I said, what's the chances? She said, it is a very limited opportunity. This may be impossible, but she said, you can do it anyway. I said, okay, I'm going to do it. I prayed to God. I said, God, I need your favor right now. I need it right now. I don't need it tomorrow. I don't need it yesterday. I need your favor now. As I write this essay, as I write this message to the board, God, favor each word to hit them specifically, not just a paragraph, but make each word I say to hit them, make each word I say to really touch their hearts so that they can change their minds and their decisions. So I'm writing there. I send it to my dad. My dad approves it. I send it to my mom. My mom says, okay, cool. Next thing you know, I send it to them. I don't hear nothing from a week. And so I'm struggling. I'm crying. I'm like, God, I didn't hear nothing. It took a week. I guess I didn't receive it. So I almost gave up, almost lost hope. But guess what? The next day, I received that email saying, you have your full ride scholarship back. You don't owe a dime no more. The $25,000 that I owed, instead of $25,000, it went to zero. And so the reason I say that is because I was in a tough time. But God let me know, the lesson I learned is God let me know you asked for something. And so because you asked for something, I see that you're able to handle it. And so guess what's going to happen? I'm going to put you in the same situation that you asked for. And the lesson I learned is that I have to have the faith that I asked for. Not everyone can have a faith. Everybody doesn't understand that the type of faith Job had was not just regular human faith, but the type of faith Job had was God gifted, God given. And so when I asked God, I said, God, I want that same faith. And then God hit me with that situation. So that was my story. And so we are going to give the mic to Minister Anthony Johnson Jr. as he would close us out. Go ahead and put the icing on the cake, brother.
Well, you should have went last because that was the icing on the cake. But one thing I learned and that God was showing me was how to be a leader. And he didn't show me this in church, but he showed me this in my work environment. So I'm currently a manager where I work, and one of the people who work there, who was under me, it started last year. They were saying stuff concerning me, but they would say it to other people, the other managers who I work with. And they didn't like how, I did this or I did that. And they would go to them and say it to them. And the managers would come back to me and basically report to me that, this person said this, that, and third about you, or this person said that they don't like how you do this, or so on and so on. And this, the same person, the same individual did this for a couple of months. And obviously it made me upset, but I'm like, I'm not going to address it. The other managers was like, don't address it. I don't want you to address it because I don't want to get in the middle of it, but I'm just letting you know. And I said, all right, I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to let it pass. So my building, we were transitioning between our general manager, and when the general manager that was working there, she left. And so during the process between her leaving and us getting a new one, I was second in charge. So I had to make sure that the store that I work at was good, everything to the best that I could do. The store was still running, that I was able to still run the store. And throughout that, the same individual was still running her mouth and saying stuff that I don't like how Anthony's doing this and I don't like how Anthony's doing that. And while I'm sitting here making sure that the store is afloat while we find another manager, not and she doesn't realize how much work and how much, the weight of that was really on me because I was really stressed. I was really doing a general manager's position, but I'm just the operations manager. So we got a new general manager, we got a new assistant manager, and again, she's still running her mouth. So finally, I was like, you know what? I'm fed up. I'm going to confront her and I'm going to sit her down and we're going to talk about this because one of my biggest things was you don't know how much work I have put into this job to make sure that this store is where it needs to be. And every time when our district manager would come, he would compliment me. And he was like, you have carried this store, you are doing a great job. And I have this one associate who is nitpicking and coming at me. Not to mention, she is way older than I am. I'm 23 years old and I'm managing people who is 10 years, 20 years older than I am. And so I finally I sat her down and I was like, well, what's your problem? And she began to list them. And I said, well, this is the reason, why I do what I do. This is the reason why you may feel the way that you feel. And basically she was like, I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. And so if you know me, I'm not really too good with attitude. You know, don't come at me sideways because I'm come back at you sideways. So she began to raise her voice. She began to come at me, and guess what I did? I raised my voice a little bit, and I was more stern. And I'm like, I said what I said, this, that, and the third. And so she got up, and she was like, "Well, I'm not having it," and just walked out. And the Lord afterwards began to deal with me and was like, although you were right, you are a leader. So sometimes your response needs to be different than the response you are given. You may be right in a situation. You have every right to feel how you feel, but being a leader requires you to handle things differently. And he began to speak to me about how I kind of matched her energy when she got aggressive. He was like, you know, you can't do that. As a leader, you have to de-escalate situations. You have to, uh, uh, um, calm things down. Although you still may be right, as a leader, you have to handle things differently. And, learning that, even when it comes to ministry, learning that kind of helped me with ministry because, as I grow in ministry and as I go higher in the levels that God wants me to go into, He is kind of teaching me how to handle people because I'm really not a people's person. I'm quiet, I'm laid back, I stick to people who I know. And if I don't know you, 9 times out of 10, you're not getting that much out of me. But I say all that to say, for anyone who's watching and you know that you are a leader, God will oftentimes um, bring things to teach you how to lead and how to handle people. Because if you handle them the wrong way, you could be the one who sets them off their course or sets them where they need to go. You still may be right. You still have every right to feel how you feel. But if God has called you to be a leader and not even in a church setting, in your workplace, because God cares about every area of our life, not just church. He cares about work. He cares about family, you know. So he will teach you how to be that leader, how to have the character of God. And I know our time is running late, but that's what I learned, how to lead the way that God wants me to lead.
That's so powerful. And time is running out. And guys, stay with us if you can for a little bit. Real quickly, Sai, you are giving a motivational speech. You have a couple minutes, so prepare something. Each time we get to the end, we do want to motivate you guys because this is what we do. And so it is Solomon. I'm putting him on the spotlight. And so come prepared with something, Solomon. But real quickly, I wanted to share this with you, Anthony. When you were speaking, I'm writing a message and it was intertwined with exactly what the message was saying. And it reminded me about Joseph and Joseph's favor. And we know that his brothers hated him. And one thing I'm writing a message about is the reason why they hated Joseph so much. Not just because of his favor, but why did his brothers really hate him? Why did his brothers talk about him? Why did his brothers try to do all this to him? And when I was researching and studying, God made me realize that there's a couple reasons. Number one, the first reason, I'm not going to get into it and I'm not going to preach to you guys, but the first reason is because of the robe that he was wearing. See, the robe was of favor and of righteousness. And so God also told me that because Joseph had the robe, every time his brothers looked at the robe, it made them upset because of the rejection that they rejected God on. They rejected God's spirit. And so because Joseph didn't reject God and because Joseph was in favor with God, every time he wore the robe, it reminded his brothers of the spirit, the calling that they rejected. And so I say that to say that so many times people would look at you differently and people would be mad at you and people would be upset with you and look at you and try to stab you in the back. Why? Because you remind them of the calling they rejected. You remind them of where they wanted to be, but because they rejected God in the first place, they're not there. And so we have to be mindful of that. And always, last thing, my dad always says, when we're doing something right, that is to please God, the enemy is always going to try to tear it down. He's going to try to tear it down with lying on you, going to try to tear it down with people trying to stab you in the back, talk about you, people who try to rile you up. That's when you know you are doing something special for God. Do you guys have anything else to add before we give the spotlight to Solomon?
I think that's motivation right then and there. Do you second Bishop? You second that, Bishop? He was preaching. He was preaching right then and there. I second Isaiah. You second Joe. You second. I second that. That was motivation. You don't got to say nothing else. Nothing else will beat the man of God and the servant of God that God has used on this fine evening.
All right. Well, we'll leave it at that. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. We are going to be here every 2 weeks. The next one is Sunday, June 18th. And so, again, guys, we want to try to be in person. And so this hopefully will be our last Zoom meeting, because we will all be together in person for our next one, and it will be live, and it will be amazing because you would get to watch us sitting together and being next to each other. Again, June 18th is Father's Day, so our special guest will be our father. And then we will be doing a promo soon for Father's Day, so be on the watch for that. As always, we appreciate all the support. We thank you guys for tuning in so much. Go ahead and subscribe to our channel at the Johnson 5 Talk Show. For more information, go ahead and connect with us on Facebook at the Johnson 5 Talk Show, or on Instagram at Johnson5_talk.show. Isaiah, close us out with whatever you want to say.
Just want to say, stay motivated, keep your head high, and make sure to like and subscribe. That's all.
All right, guys.